Hey guys, what's up? This is going to be an update slash somewhat content filled video because I know I have not put out some stuff. I mean, granted, this is not like a huge freaking stretch like last time, but I basically wanted to at least throw something out there because the videos I wanted to put out, I haven't really been able to put out, and I'm basically going to give you guys a bit of a heads up why, and then like talk about I'm going to like fill this with as you can see from the top, this is a bit of a rambly thing because I'm going to put in different topics and just to give you an idea of the videos I wanted to put out, and then maybe later on when I get things settled, I can like maybe give them, you know, their own individual videos. So first things first, about like I said, the reason why I haven't been able to put them out. If you notice, this is back to standard def, which is what I didn't want to do. I'm using this freaking old creative camera that I've had for years, like ever since I first started being on YouTube, and that was years ago. You may have noticed that some of my last ones have been, you know, the HD or widescreen format. Well, I haven't put them on HD, but it was at least widescreen format. That's because I had a camera that was capable of doing that. Well, I kind of had two of them. One was the one that I'd been using like months ago. It went kaput on me. I can't really record with that anymore because it's one of those cameras where you know you open it up and you spin and you got the screen there. The screen doesn't work. So if I can't see anything on that screen, I obviously can't, you know, check my settings or, you know exactly if I'm hitting record or not. So yeah, it's dead. And then there's my camera phone, but I don't really like recording with that. I know my last couple of videos I did were done with it, but you may have noticed that the sound sometimes doesn't sync up right, and I sound really, the audio sucks on this thing. So yeah, and then plus not only that, but then there's the whole thing of getting it off my phone to put into my computer, and then I have to convert the file to a file that I can actually use on Windows Movie Maker, and then do the editing there, and sometimes it's a pain in the ass and I just can't be bothered. So that's what's been holding things up. The good news is I finally decided to say fuck it and got my cheap ass to get myself a HD webcam. So by next week I'll have that. I got it off Amazon for pretty cheap. She'll come in and then I'll start recording with that, and then I won't have to deal with this shit anymore. So there's that. Oh, and speaking of that, and I forgot his name, so let me look at it real quick, so bear with me for a moment. You get to see live fuck-ups right now. Hold on. Comments. I'm looking for this dude's comment because somebody gave me a really good tip. The video that I put up on like me putting out videos and such, and god damn it, where the hell is it? Gotta look up comment. Where are ye? There we go. Ed409. Thank you very much for your tip about Lightworks. I've been looking into that, and it doesn't look. Yeah, it's definitely a complicated piece of software for obvious reasons. It is, after all, professional video editing software. But I've been checking out tutorials on it. I've been checking up stuff about it, and for what I want to do, I don't think it's going to be all that hard. You guys see what I do. All I do is put a title card in the beginning and the end, and maybe have some text going on at the bottom if I fuck up and I gotta correct myself on the video, or if I want to highlight a particular thing with text. And that's it. And maybe a little bit of light editing if I, you know, see if there's like a goofy spot somewhere in the video that I don't think needs to be there, or a long blank. Whatever, things that need to be cut out. That's all I do. I'm not doing any major film editing here. And the light balance is already fucking up. Sorry about that. Stupid camera. Anyway, long story short, thanks for the tip on that. I'm probably going to start using that to edit videos instead of using Windows Movie Maker. I mean, yeah, I know some of you guys are probably shocked that I'm still using that, but that's what I got. And as far as looking up video editing for my phone, because at first I thought I was going to be going that route, yeah, sorry, but I'm just not. There doesn't seem to be any really good ones in the, what you would call good ones, I can't really use. They don't have the features that I want. And the closest thing to having the features that I want, I'm sorry, but it absolutely sucks. There, that looks better. Yeah, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? Now I don't got to worry about the blinding light of justice. Anyway, but yeah, fuck the thing on my phone. I'm just going to go with Lightworks and see how well I do with that. Who knows? Maybe if I'm able to get some of the advanced features on there, I might do some more impressive things with my videos, like say, like, you know, if I'm addressing somebody, have like, you know, the little box within the box, you know, like a video, you know, have them over there and I'm over here, and you know, like the fancier things you can do. All right, enough of that. Let's get on to some topics of substance. First off, to get on things, government shutdown. Yeah, that. It's over with now, but then again, it's not really over with, is it? Because all we really did was just kind of, you know, as they say, kick the can down the road for January, and then this whole mess is probably going to start all over the fuck again. So, victory? There's a hell of a lot I could say about that, but I'm just going to sum it up. Again, I got a lot to cram in here. So, the one thing that really stuck out for me throughout this craziness is, you know, it was kind of funny how, you know, the Republicans who were pushed for this and caused the shutdown, particularly the ones of the teabagger persuasion, they've been saying over and over again they wanted to, like, go to Washington and disrupt shit. They wanted to go there and shut it down and really bring the government down, or shrink it, or reduce it, or somehow like halt the works. They were there to, you know, to disrupt things. And then when the shit happens, watch how quickly they, you know, we saw how quickly they were backpedaling. It was the Democrats' fault. It was Obama's fault for not giving into our black demands. I mean, sure, the craziest among them were pretty much showing their true colors, saying that, yeah, we did it, this is a good thing, but, yeah, for the most part, they were like, oh, fuck, no, we didn't do shit. And what was even funnier is that the people who at first were on their side, once they realized what a government shutdown really meant, suddenly social programs were probably going to be cut. Suddenly things that were depending on were no longer around, or in danger of no longer being around. And then you suddenly have tons of government workers out of work, and they turn out to be regular everyday people. Yeah, people started singing a different tune. And the polls switched on people, and it was crazy to watch. But it was just funny to me how the people who were like, oh yeah, we're ready to shut things down. Then it shuts down. But don't look at me. It wasn't me. Even to the point where one of the biggest guys on there, like this Republican from Texas, and I forgot his name, and it's probably a good thing because he deserves to be, you know, struck from the annals for this shit. I mean, he was one of the biggest pushers for the shutdown. And by the way, this was done why? To go up against a bill it's not a bill anymore, it's fucking law. To go up against a law that was already put into effect, which quite frankly was a law that they originally came up with. People seem to have forgotten about that shit. Basically to fight a futile battle, and the real reason why they're pushing for that shit is simply because they see it as a sliding slope toward actually having real healthcare reform in this country. This law doesn't really do it, but it's a stepping stone towards it. They can't have that. The corporate cronies funding them can't have that. So that's the real reason why they're fighting against this shit. Even though it's a futile battle. This motherfucker shuts the shit down, then has the nerve to later on try to shame a park worker for not letting people into, you know, public parks. Because you should be ashamed. No, motherfucker, you should be. That particular worker had much more patience than I would have in that situation. I would have cursed him out right then and there on national TV. This is your fucking fault. Don't try to put the shame on me. If your dumbasses didn't decide to pull this shit, I wouldn't have to keep people out. But I'm going a little bit off of where I wanted to go with this. It seemed hilarious to me that the people who wanted to shut shit down all of a sudden, don't look at me. Oh, and one other nitpick. It did bother me a bit that people started calling these guys anarchists. They're not anarchists. Yeah, okay, sure, they wanted to shut the government down. I guess if you're going to be going with the most simpleton version of the definition, you could call them that. But you see, here's the thing, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't really identify as an anarchist. I may sympathize with some of their aims, but ultimately I think it's not going to work because, quite frankly, I've seen the monkeys running around on this particular planet. They're not ready for some shit like that. Somebody, from what I've seen of the principles of people who truly identify with anarchy, the whole point of them wanting to smash the state, so to speak, is so that we would have a fairer system of governance, one where we're governing ourselves, and we're able to share the resources and power equally in the society that we're living in. That's the end goal. They feel that government and the concepts of the state are an impediment to that. They feel that all it really does is give power to an elite group of people who get to lord over everybody else. That's why they want to get rid of the state. That's ultimately the reason. That if you boil it all down, they're like, look, there's a few people ruling over everyone else through government, and we need to smash that apparatus in order to have a fairer society and a freer society for all involved, where we no longer have an elite group of people over us. We all govern. We all have, access of governance. This, by the way, for certain people, both who identify as anarchists and not, who believe that there would be absolutely no type of governance or no type of bureaucracy whatsoever, are kind of deluding themselves. Because even with this concept, you still need some type of bureaucracy to make this shit work. It just would actually be more in the hands of the people who are in it, rather than just a small group. You get the point. The point I'm trying to make here, though, is that those who are responsible for shutting this government down don't believe in those concepts. Remember, the reason why they do the shit that they do is because they're being powered by an elite group of motherfuckers who basically believe that they should stay in charge and they should be able to do things like fuck up the economy and keep all the money in their pockets and limit other people's access to the resources of the society, whether they limit, social programs, or whether they limit a chance of you to have a decent retirement fund, or whether they find ways of keeping you from getting access to certain, services and resources that they themselves take advantage of. They don't believe in us. They believe in using the system's apparatus to benefit themselves and fuck everybody else. And the Tea Party movement and many Republicans believe in that concept. They just hide it under, phrases like, oh, smaller government, because we don't want government limiting the people's freedom. No, they mean their freedom to fuck us over. They're not anarchists. To call them that is kind of shitting on that word. And again, this is coming from somebody who doesn't identify completely with that title. But come on, let's get our definition straight here. That kind of bothered me. It's a nitpick, but whatever. Anyway, I went on that way longer than I wanted. Next topic that I wanted to touch on that I think deserved the whole video as well was, you guys have heard of that rape case, right? I know you have. The one about that 14-year-old girl who, this had happened last fucking year, and only now people are beginning to draw attention to it. And thanks once again to Anonymous for that, which, by the way, I wanted to do a video on Anonymous, especially after what's happened recently, because there's something about them popping up and people championing them that I think is rather interesting, and it's something that we've seen in the past before, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The whole thing with, that there, already we're seeing the creeps coming out of the woodwork trying to defend this shit. I mean, think about this. You got this girl. She was raped at a party, right? And this town, not everyone in the town, I'll be fair, but did they come to the defense of this girl? No. First, we found out that they pretty much dropped the charges, and, they, swept the whole thing under the rug. Why? Because this dude had connections to somebody in power. And then the town pretty much turns on the family. They, they're freaking bullying the girl, and girls, really, the girls involved. The 14-year-old, her mother loses her job over this shit. They burn her fucking house down, and nothing is said about this for a year? And then when this starts coming into light, all of a sudden the town is trying to act like... And now the creeps are coming out the woodwork trying to defend this shit about like, oh, well, she went to the party, she put herself in the lines, and she if she... Basically, they're saying the same goddamn shit that we usually hear whenever there's a rape. She was asking for it. I'm just going to say this. There's so much shit that we could... I'm just going to say this. It's just going to come into the form of a very simple fucking question. To anybody who thinks that there was nothing wrong or that it was somehow justifiable for this to happen, for this to have been swept under the rug, that this was no big deal, that this shouldn't have gone to court. Just one simple question. Let's pretend, okay? Let's just fucking pretend that, okay, yeah, she snuck out at night, went to this party, was already drinking, so let's fucking pretend, even though this is typical teenage fucking behavior, Sneaking out at night, going to parties. Where have motherfuckers been? This is the type of shit that teenagers usually do. It doesn't mark them to be fucking reprehensible, evil people. Whatever. Let's just fucking pretend that she put herself out there. She asked for it. Does that excuse the crime that was committed? That's my question. Let's say I go out clubbing. I don't. I never have. I'm not really interested in that shit, but whatever. I go out clubbing. I'm wearing my best suit. I show up in a really fancy car. I got rings all over my fingers, to show off my money. I'm throwing money left and right at the club, like buying drinks for everybody, trying to pick up chicks or whatever. And then I go out and basically I get held up at gunpoint and end up with 2 bullets in my kidneys. Now, we could argue that I was stupid to flash my money like that because I'm inviting robbery, right? That's usually what's said, right? But if they catch the dude who did it, you think I shouldn't press charges? You think that they shouldn't go after the motherfucker who took my money? All you motherfuckers out there, if this shit had happened to you, yeah, you would instantly, find that dude. He put me in the hospital. He took my money. He took my car. You want to find that motherfucker. He committed a crime. And if they catch that dude, they're going to prosecute the dude and they're going to throw him in jail. If they got evidence, and yeah, they're going to have, you got eyewitness accounts. If there's any way to link that dude to the crime, yeah, you busted him. But when it comes to this chick, a 14-year-old, all of a sudden, this shouldn't be a big deal? If a crime was committed, it doesn't fucking matter what caused it to happen. It still fucking happened, and the people who did the deed need to pay for it. That's what justice is, isn't it? Never mind who the victim is or how they got there. The point of the matter is, a wrong deed has still been committed. Something has to be done about that. And any type of excuse you could possibly make, anything you're trying to throw on top of that, is a way of trying to get in the way of that justice. Period. Again, her doing whatever you do, whatever bullshit you want to say about, oh, she snuck out, oh, she was already drinking, doesn't excuse the crime. That's the question that needs to be asked, and I think we know the fucking answer to that one. Moving on. Another one I wanted to do in this one, because I'm already eating up more time than I wanted for a video that was supposed to be a very quick update and then glossing over quick topics. I had been planning, you guys probably remember that from the video I put up, a couple of videos I put up before, the whole conversation that was going on between Skeptical Heretic and Ella and Skid Row Radio and friends and all those people. I put out a video kind of glossing on that before, but because of the last couple of videos I saw on the topic, I actually decided I wanted to address it because it was reminding me of some stupid shit that I'd seen back when I was in college that I didn't like then and I definitely don't like now. The problem is that topic seems to be over with now. It's been like, what, 2 weeks? Maybe more? As far as I know, no one's really talking about it. It seems to kind of have been dropped. So I felt like, and the funny thing is I already recorded it. It was like, I recorded it with my, my good old mini disc recorder. Still love this thing. I recorded it, edited it, had the title cards ready to go. But it took me a while to get it going. And then once I got it going, I noticed that no one was really talking about it. And I thought it would be kind of stupid to put it out. But basically what I wanted to say, and I might still put it out, it depends if you guys want to see it or, if anyone involved was interested. Basically, it was my point. I noticed that as things went on, there were too many people sticking to their narrative and not to the facts. And that bothered me because it reminded me of some shit that I saw. My college years were political. No way. Not to mention quite, they were interesting years. Let's just put it that way. And I used to have a lot of political debates as well as a lot of religious debates with people. And one thing that really bothered me, especially among the people that I was hanging with, was how much they cared more about their own perspective and their particular narrative of events rather than actual facts or whether there actually was any justification of what they were saying or doing. And that pissed me off. And it got annoying when I would point these things out and it would jump down my throat for criticizing them. Like, because how dare I criticize their movement or their ideology? even though I saw flaws in it, and later on I would see them defending things that I really didn't think deserved to be defended. It reminds me a lot of a quote, and I really wish I remember the person who said this, and I'm even going to be paraphrasing it, so I'm butchering the whole thing, but it basically went something like, when you consider yourself a revolutionary, or when you're trying to exact any type of change, sooner or later you end up either being a hypocrite or a heretic. And I find that to be true. Because you either end up being the heretic by pissing off the people who are with you because they care more about their movement and getting into power and fuck the facts of morality, and you speaking out against that and criticizing them makes you the heretic, or you end up being a hypocrite by going along with that type of shit and ending up betraying the very ideals that you claim to have been for in the first place. And I'm seeing a lot of that shit with this Snowden NSA debate. And some of the people who are, arguing for or against it or whatever. I was seeing a lot of that shit, and it was getting on my nerves. Bitter recording on it. I'm probably not going to put it out now unless you guys really want to hear it or whatever, but that was basically the crux of my argument, that we have to, if we're going to be pointing out any type of injustice, or we have a particular political or philosophical ideology, we can't let the ideology ultimately dictate our perspective. I know it influences it, but at some point, if we're going to be true to ourselves, if we're going to be true to our morals, our ethics, if we truly are trying to enact real change for the better, then we have to be willing to point out bullshit within our own ranks or within our own ideology when we see it. Sweeping it under the rug or basically acting like an asshole in order not to acknowledge these things doesn't help, because people will notice. And all that does is discredit you and your ideology. It's happened so many times in history, and it doesn't look like that's going to change unless we change. So, yeah. That's about it for the serious shit. So, a couple of quick updates, I guess I should have put this in the beginning, but it just occurred to me now. One, those of you who remember that I am a nerd will probably know, if you don't, when you're trying to find out this now, that I'm a big fan of Magic the Gathering. And one thing I have always wanted to do, I shouldn't say always, for the past couple of months, I have really wanted to film the games that me and my wife play. Granted, we haven't played in a while, but that's because we've been busy, but we have a rivalry going on. It's a friendly rivalry, but it's a rivalry. We keep tally of our win scores, who won the last game. We keep trying to tweak our decks or tweak our playstyles to try to beat the other person when we have our Clasp of the Titans matches. And I always find them to end up being entertaining and funny, and I think some people might kind of laugh at just how cutthroat we can sometimes get when we play, or the things that we say to each other when we play. Plus, it's interesting because we have two completely different play styles. Like, my wife likes playing black a lot because, well, she likes to win. So her favorite deck is her blue and black. Black and blue. But she also likes using white and black, or black and white also, and that deck is pretty vicious as well, though I still think her black and blue is her most potent one. I like using red and green. I used to be a white and blue player. Pretty sure those of you who never played this game have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. But those of you who do know what I'm talking about. The colors correspond to different types of magics. I'm not about to get into the rules of Magic the Gathering right now. But I used to be a white and blue player, and then once I found out just how much fun red and green was and how closer it was to how I wanted to play, kind of like an aggressive, just completely destroy and annihilate my opponent's style, I never looked back. Most of my decks are red and greens, or hell, I have one pure red deck, just, to rain down fire and destruction. I do want to dabble with white and blue again at some point, and I got some cards that I've been putting together, and I'm putting together a secret white and red deck. It's almost completed, but I need a couple more cards to make it work.
A secret one?
It will hopefully, I want to film these things, but I'm interested, if you guys are interested in seeing this sort of goofiness. If you are, let me know, because I've always wanted to put that out. Another thing I wanted to do was another friend of mine and myself, we like movies and debating movies and shit a lot. And every time we get into a conversation about movies, it always ends up being really animated and really crazy, and people who are watching end up being amused by it. And we've always been like, we really need to just record this shit and make a podcast of it and put it out. I actually did end up recording one of these conversations. It was edited, ready to go, and shit got in the way and I never put it up. And to make matters worse, I haven't really been in contact with this person since. I'm still wondering if I'm going to put this shit up and if they still want to make this shit. If they do, I'll probably put the first episode up, but I really don't want to put up an episode of something that's not going to be continued. So I'm just putting it out there that this was another thing I was thinking of doing. If it ends up panning out, or if I do decide to put this one thing up, I'll do it, but I really don't see the point. We will see. That's kind of like in the works, just us bitching about movies and complaining about shit and just being ridiculously animated about it. If you really want to, this one particular episode really goes to show how far the rabbit hole goes with just how much nerd stuff is with me, because we were talking about DC and Marvel and how their movies seem to be reflecting the comic books industry with them as well, and how DC seems to be dropping the ball a lot and Marvel seems to be just laughing as they take their money to the bank. So whatever. Lastly, martial arts stuff. I was going to talk about like video game stuff that I wanted to talk about, but fuck all that. I talk about video game stuff anyway. And speaking of which, for those of you who are interested in the keep track, yay! River City Ransom got the sequel got its funding. Yes. I'm really happy about that. And the tier that I happen to have been on allows me to get into the beta. So I can't wait for when that shit happens, because I'm going to actually be able to get my hands on an early build of the game and tweak it, or like see the tweaks and see the stuff and give my advice on what needs to be tweaked. I don't think I'm going to be able to tell you guys what I see in the beta. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of non-disclosure agreement, but in case there isn't, or in case there is some stuff I can tell you guys about it, I will let you guys know. I can't wait for that beta to come out for me to get my hands on it and play it. And of course, I can't wait for the game itself. But when it comes out, or when I'm able to get my hands on the beta, if I'm able to tell you guys anything, I will, unless you don't want me to. So again, let me know. But the other thing I wanted to touch on was my martial arts videos. I am finally seeing a chance where I'll have some free time to actually do some of the martial arts stuff that I wanted to do. Skullegrim Nielsen, because of my correspondence with him in that one video, and also because I love his martial arts vids, check them out, they're great. But watching those videos is making me want to do videos like that. And I've actually I've done them before, but not to the extent that he has, and I actually want to go and do it. And now that I have a little bit more free time and I'm around my friends who also practice martial arts and sword stuff and whatever, I wanted to do somewhat lighthearted versions of that. And I'm not saying it's coming out right away. I gotta get time schedules to line up, but there's a chance that it's coming out fairly soon, and I can't wait to get that going. Which leads me into my martial arts myth videos. And yeah, I'm pretty sure there are some of you guys who are still watching these are like, yeah, what the hell happened to that? I thought you were doing one on Chi. What the fuck? It's been years. Here's what's going on with that. Every time I thought I was finished with that and was ready to put that up on YouTube, I'd find out something else. See, I was actually trying to do some decent research on this whole Chi shit. Not just my own experience and my own opinions, but also some stuff that other martial artists and other, people have found out. And I even had like it's a big fucking subject. I had at least, it was going to be at least a 3-parter, where one, I was going to talk about the basic history of it. The second thing, I was going to talk about the bullshit in it. And the third thing, I was going to show you guys all the tricks that people do to trick you into thinking that, oh, it's Chi, when it really is nothing but either circus tricks or parlor tricks or simple shit that you can do yourself. But it's like, and I have 3 of them already recorded. But when I was ready to go, I'd find out something else, which would kind of like fuck up those videos, and I would have to start all over again. It all basically boils down to this. Okay, got cut because my son just walked in. Anyway, it basically all boils down to what your definition of Chi is. That's basically what was holding the whole thing up. If you believe that it's going to give you Dragon Ball Z powers or it's going to enhance your fighting ability, yeah, it's bullshit. If, however, you saw it more as it's another way for you, if you're using it to describe a type of breathing, or if you're using it as a definition for like your life force, so to speak, what the energy that keeps you animated, then we're entering into a gray area. And, you know, it can be a number of interpretations with that. So that's basically what's been keeping me from putting out those and other ones. And I have other topics that I probably should have put out. Like, for instance, the term martial art itself. The word art has been so fucking abused in it, it's really getting on my nerves. I really need to put out a video on that. But I do want to continue my martial arts myth series, especially since it seems that, believe it or not, that's my most popular set of videos. Think about all the other shit I've been talking about. And yet the videos that seem to have gotten the most views are my martial arts myth ones, particularly the ones on ninjutsu. I guess because I pissed so many people off with that one. But whatever. I do want to get that going. I do want to sooner or later put out some version of it for the whole chi thing. But the chi thing ended up being a lot more complicated than I thought, and I already knew it was a complicated subject. So that's why I never put anything out on that. It's because when I wanted to put the video out, I wanted to make sure that I was putting out something that was accurate information. I didn't want to put out bullshit myself. So that's why it took so fucking long. I talked enough. This is like a close to 30-minute video now, and I rambled way. It was mostly rambling, so yeah. The serious topics I talked about, if you guys want that and more, I can put dedicated videos for those. Though at this point, now I'm beginning to wonder if there's even a point, because I pretty much said what I wanted to say about that. But there are other factors that I could add, but whatever. And the others, I just wanted to let you know what I'm thinking of. And yeah, last but not least, I did promise that I was going to organize my channel. My channel looks like shit right now, because I haven't touched it. I got no background. I haven't fully organized the videos the way I wanted to. I need to get on and do that, but that takes time, and that's something that I seem to have little of. But within the next few days, I'm actually going to have quite a bit of time. I'm finally getting some fucking vacation time. So I'm probably going to use that time to get shit organized. Not just on YouTube, but other stuff I'm doing, which I'm not at liberty to tell you yet, but it's actually pretty awesome. But I can't say anything about it yet until, like, I shouldn't even say anything. Anyway, yeah, that's what's going on with that. Shout outs to the people who have still stuck around. I know I've lost a lot of viewers. I at one time was over 2,500. Now I'm down to around 23. For justifiable reasons. I mean, if I'm not putting out content, why the fuck would you stick around? I understand that. I need to get back in the saddle on that. But those who have stuck around, thank you very much for that. Those who I'm still in contact with, I'm in contact with people who are still on YouTube and not with people who aren't on YouTube anymore, but I'm still in contact with. If you guys are watching this, thanks for sticking around. And I'm going to try to be more in contact with you guys. In fact, there's a project that I have in mind that I'm going to need your guys' help with. It's not exactly the return of Righteous Heathens, but it's close. And it's something that's been in my mind, and it's going to be a little bit easier to manage. But that's sort of a hush-hush project. But yeah, I know for those of you who been hanging around, I appreciate it. Those I'm still in contact with, I appreciate it. Those of you still putting out YouTube content that I like watching, I really appreciate the fact that you guys are still doing it. I still watch Hannibal. If you're watching this, I still watch your stuff. Skeptic, of course, I still watch his stuff. Ella, I still watch your stuff. All you guys are like, I just try to keep in touch with it, which reminds me, Sarah Han, dear God, I miss you, man. I know why you got off YouTube. I don't blame you for getting off YouTube, but damn, I miss you, man. I miss your videos. I've been watching a lot of your old shit just because it abuses me at work. Those are the old days. Now I'm really rambling, so I better cut it off here. I promise to have some other stuff out soon. Fairly soon. We'll see. Catch you guys later.